I used to struggle with discipline when I was younger. I had all these goals and dreams and aspirations, and I knew there were things I was supposed to be doing on a daily basis in order to accomplish those goals, but I wasn't getting them done. And every day that went by that I was not doing what I was supposed to do, I would start to dislike myself more, and I would have less confidence in myself. But that all changed once my father committed suicide. That put me in a position where I had to take care of the whole family, and I had no choice but to figure out how to finally conquer discipline so I can accomplish my goals. And in this video, I will show you how you can finally become more disciplined so you can accomplish your goals too. Because once I became more disciplined, I was able to get in amazing shape, build a huge social media empire, make tens of millions of dollars, and most of all, take care of my family. And I owe it all to the discipline I was able to cultivate. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do the same without having to have a dead suicidal daddy to do it. This is not going to be the typical rah-rah, you just need to be more disciplined. I'm actually going to show you how to become more disciplined. And the last tip I'm going to give you is the best one. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. If you can't watch a goddamn YouTube video to the end, if you don't have enough discipline for that, then you're screwed. If all you had to do to be more disciplined was listening to some guy yell at you on YouTube, then we'd all be disciplined. All you'd have to do is watch one David Goggins video and you'd be Rambo. As you might have noticed, shit don't work like that, player. There's a few things you need to know about the biology of discipline. See, I want you to think of discipline as a battery. Every day you start off with a certain amount of discipline. Think of it as like your discipline reserve in your battery. Later in this video, I'm going to show you how you can expand the amount of discipline you have each day. But right now, just think about it as a discipline reserve in your battery. As you use your willpower, it starts to drain. Until the end of the day, you don't have no discipline left. You're shoving Cheetos in your mouth, eating ice cream with a fork, playing Call of Warfare, and gooning to OnlyFans. Some of y'all doing it all at once, simultaneously. You might be doing it now. You might have OF on one screen, your other joystick in the other hand, with Cheeto dust on your motherfucking face. That's what happens once your discipline battery is drained throughout the day. I'm not just making this shit up, asshole. There's actually science behind it. Here's a study that was performed by a bunch of nerds. And these nerds had the participants engage in activity where they had to use discipline. In fact, they had them engage in several activities where they had to use discipline. Then they tested their impulsivity and their ability to restrain themselves from certain activities after they make them use their discipline on other shit. Here's the study if you want to see it, if you want to read the whole thing, you fucking nerd. But basically, when they had this group use their discipline earlier, it was more difficult for them to use their discipline later on in the day. Here's another study that actually shows that there are other things that can deplete your discipline. Actually, making decisions has been proven by motherfucking science to deplete your discipline. Here's another study where the nerds found out that the participants in the studies had less physical stamina, reduced persistence, and more procrastination after they had to make a bunch of motherfucking decisions. And here's the study. Making choices impairs subsequent self-control. So that's one of the first things we need to do to become more disciplined is actually to conserve the discipline. Don't waste it on the bullshit. But instead, use this resource, this precious resource on the shit that's going to get us further in life. So how do you do that? So step one is going to be discipline conservation. We want to make it easy for us to make the right choice so we don't have to use the discipline. For example, one of my favorite things to eat is ice cream. It's really delicious. I love ice cream. However, I haven't had any ice cream in years. You probably know because I look like this as opposed to how you look. Gross. You may think I'm using a ton of discipline to restrain myself from consuming tubs of ice cream every day, but it's not like that. One thing I did was there's just no ice cream in my house. Now I can still go get it. I can walk to the store. I can go on Uber Eats and have an immigrant bring it to me. However, that introduced more friction. It would take more effort to go get the ice cream now, especially way more effort than if it was just in my house. So I don't necessarily need discipline to avoid the ice cream. I would need discipline to go get it now because it's more difficult. So you need to set up your life and your environment so that anything you want to abstain from, there's more discipline in front of you and participating in that activity. And anything you want to do more of, you need to have less friction. And big companies know this. And that's just not me making it up. I want you to listen to another bald man saying it.
If you want to do more of something, make the friction less. If you want to do less of something, make the friction more. If there's a particular snack food that you like a lot and it's making you fat, put it on the top shelf where it's harder to get to, and you'll eat less of it. So you know, don't leave it on your kitchen counter.
Two rich bald guys done told you this shit. When you gonna start listening? You gotta introduce friction. For example, if you go on Amazon, let's say you wanna get some condoms, boom. You see, immediately they're trying to get you to subscribe to the shit because that's what Amazon wants you to do. If you just want to buy it just once, there's a little bit more friction. I don't know if you guys ever subscribe to anything on Amazon. You ever see how difficult it is to find the unsubscribe button? You got to go through so many different hoops, but they make it super easy for me to just subscribe. But to unsubscribe is a goddamn nightmare. Now I'm gonna get out of this menu because I don't use condoms. I'm old school, baby. I pull out. I'm gonna pull out and paint her stomach. I'm like a Picasso. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do some art later on today. That's my passion. So how do you apply this to your own life? Here's some other ways I use friction so I don't have to use discipline. For example, a lot of us use our phones as alarm clocks, right? When you pick up your phone to turn off the alarm, you hitting snooze. And you might hit that shit 30, 40 times before you get out of bed. That was a problem I used to have as well. However, I keep my phone on the other side of the room, so I have to get out of bed to get to the phone. Now, instead of using discipline, I actually had to get out the fucking bed. I had to walk across the fucking bedroom. That may not sound like a big deal to you guys, but I have a huge bedroom. Like my bedroom might be bigger than your motherfucking whole crib. But back when I was poor like you, sometimes I would put the alarm in the other room so it had to wake me up. It forced me to get out of bed. And then if I want to work out in the morning, boom, I have my workout clothes, my sneakers, and sometimes my pre-workout right there. So I reduced the friction in order to go to the gym. When I got the girlfriend I've been with for the last few years, I wanted to make sure I didn't cheat on her, fuck some other bitches. Cause some people think, hey man, you must have a lot of discipline. You're rich and in great shape in Miami with all these BBL Latinas. How do you not fuck the bitches? And I'm like, oh man, I increased the friction. First thing I did when I got with her is I shared my location with her. This is on purpose because I didn't want to have to use discipline not to fuck the bitches, especially because she wasn't even living here when we first started dating. So now she can see wherever I'm at. And sure, I could probably figure it out, some way to hack the system and fuck some bitches anyway, but that's more friction. So because there's more friction, I was already less likely to fuck the bitches. So that's step number one. Add friction to the things you want to abstain from and decrease the friction for the things you want to do more of. The next thing you need to do to be more disciplined is actually manage your dopamine levels. See, when you see somebody who seems like they're just really getting after life, they're going for it, they're doing a bunch of shit every day and then going out and accomplishing goals, rest assured that person has a ton of dopamine. You need dopamine to pursue your goals. My favorite white science man, Andrew Huberman, has a whole episode about that shit. You should definitely check it out. Or I have videos on dopamine too. They're both good. Watch his video if you want the white version. Watch my video if you want the cool version. Doesn't matter, as long as you get the information. The problem is dopamine is a double-edged sword. Dopamine will also make you pursue fucking crazy shit. People waste their dopamine on bullshit. They don't have any dopamine left to go after the things they really want. The way dopamine works is you have an amount of it every day, almost like the same battery analogy we did for discipline. We're talking about the neurochemical dopamine. And this is like really the way it is in your brain. When you waste your dopamine on things like pornography, nightlife, video games, social media, excessive TV, drugs, these things actually deplete the amount of dopamine you have. Now, your dopamine will return to baseline, but the problem is some people engage in these things so much that they never get their dopamine back to baseline, and they can never really go after the stuff that's important. It's going to help them accomplish things in life. You'll have more available dopamine if you cut out porn, if you cut out nightlife, if you cut out video games, cut out social media, or at least limit these things. And definitely you want to drugs and alcohol. I haven't done any recreational drugs or had any alcohol in over 10 years. And this is one of the main reasons why, because it depletes your dopamine. And if you are addicted to these things, what you want to do is go back to step one, increase the friction. If you're addicted to video games, take the console out of your crib. If you're addicted to social media, you know what I used to do is I had 2 phones, and one I would use to post content, and the other phone I would use to contact my mom, girlfriend, baby mama, family, and friends. And I would keep the phone with social media away from me. That's one thing you can do, or you can put like blockers on it. Whatever you got to do to increase the friction, because you got to conserve this precious resource, dopamine. And when you have more dopamine, it will be easier for you to be disciplined when you need it. There are a few other things you can do to naturally increase your dopamine without depleting it. Cold showers, ice baths, cryotherapy are great for increasing dopamine momentarily. The studies show that cold therapy can increase dopamine momentarily by up to 200% without depleting it. Working out increases dopamine without depleting it. Caffeine can actually increase dopamine without depleting it. I take over 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day. That's not advice. I've been abusing caffeine since I was a teenager. Now I'm 42. I've worked my way up to 1,000 milligrams a day. You make your own decisions about that. That's not medical advice. Another supplement is an amino acid called L-tyrosine that has been proven to momentarily increase dopamine without negatively depleting it after. So far, we've used friction to make it easier to do what we're supposed to do. We're managing dopamine. The next thing that's going to make you more disciplined is the people you surround yourself with. We become like the people we're around involuntarily, whether we want to or not. We pick up their habits, we pick up their dialect, even accents. This is why people from different regions have similar dialect and accents. It wasn't in their DNA. They involuntarily picked up on it just from the people they're around. But that's not it. You also pick up people's habits. There's a study done by Harvard Medical School and the University of California, San Diego, that found that if one person becomes obese, the chances significantly increase that their friends, siblings, and spouse also start to gain weight. So basically saying obesity is contagious. Why is it contagious? It's because we pick up on people's habits. Here's another study showing that if one of your friends becomes obese, you yourself are 45% more likely to gain weight. This was another study in the New England Journal of Medicine. The spread of obesity in large social networks over 23 years. Go check this out, man. It's a fascinating study, actually. What does that tell you? Is that we pick up on other people's habits. So here's the thing. If you start to get around people who are more disciplined in certain areas, you will naturally pick up on that. When my frat friends start spending more time around me, they start losing weight. I don't get fatter. They start losing weight because they start picking up on my habit. My homie Moneybird, we've been friends for 10 years, but he's lost a ton of weight and became way more muscular over the time we've worked together. I attribute some of that to me. And he'll tell you the same. The homie Jeremy. Jeremy lost 30 pounds over the last few months. Who you think he got that shit from? My girl is in better shape now than when we started fucking. Because when you're around gymnasium Jesus, you won't get healed. I got that kind of power. So you really need to cultivate your circle. If somebody's around me with habits that I don't want to adopt involuntarily in my life, I won't fuck with them. Like, I'll keep my distance. You know, someone's out here cheating on this girl, doing foul shit. I'm gonna stay away from that because I don't want that negativity to infiltrate my life. But if my friends who have habits that I do want to emulate, like making a bunch of money, I'm gonna hang around them more because I want to pick up on those habits. I have one family member, I'm not gonna shit on publicly, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's a fucking piece of shit. He totally lacks discipline, he lacks integrity, and I just said, you know what, I'm done with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want that shit to infiltrate my life involuntarily, because it will. Don't think you're immune to this shit. The next thing you need to do is something I call the list of hate and the list of great. Sigmund Freud, everyone's favorite coked up pervert, who's also the father of modern psychology, he coined a term called the pleasure pain principle. Well, old freaky Sigmund said, every decision that someone makes, they're either moving towards perceived pleasure or away from perceived pain. So this is you're moving towards, this represents pleasure, this represents pain, this fire. The reason anyone makes any decision, they're moving towards perceived pleasure or away from perceived pain. Right now, you associate pain, for example, working out, reading, working on your biz, eating healthy. You associate pleasure with gooning, video games, beating off, drugs, masturbation, and a bunch of other shit. What we need to do is we need to change the associations with pain and pleasure. And the only way to do that is the list of hate and the list of great. So here's what we do. You need to make a list of everyone who talks shit about you, who did you wrong, bitches who rejected you, hoes who cheated on you, that girl who left you and fucked that black guy. I'm sorry about that, by the way, but it's okay. This is going to make you stronger, right? Put her on the list. Put me on the list if I fucked your girl. I'm on a lot of people's list of hate. Anyone who said you couldn't accomplish your goal, anyone who didn't support you. And here's the thing, anytime you're supposed to do something and you don't want to do it, look at that list. And remember that if you don't accomplish your goal, guess what? The haters win. You can't let the haters win. And also, if someone said you couldn't accomplish something and you don't accomplish something, were they hating? Or were they just right? Maybe it wasn't hate. Maybe it was just a fair assessment of your capabilities. The onus is on you to prove them right or prove them wrong. I look at my list every morning. That's how I start my day, looking at the list of hate. And it's not like an angry rage anymore. It used to be like that. And maybe you need that right now, right? If you're at a low point, maybe you need some rage. But me, when I look at it now, after years, I'm looking like, I can't wait to shit on these motherfuckers. Oh, it's going to be so great once I shit on these motherfuckers, right? But initially, you might have to have a more anger sense, like, motherfuckers, I'll show them. Maybe that's where you're at. Me, it's a more lighthearted, jovial, oh, I'm going to shit on these niggas. You might be, I'm going to shit on these niggas. Depends on where you at, man. You know, it's hard for me to be angry at the top of the penthouse, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, waking up next to my big booty, fat titted Latina girlfriend. It's difficult to be angry under those circumstances. So it's more of a joyous hate. But I still can't let the haters win. But you might have to have an anger hate. That's okay. Use that. If that's what you got, that's what you use, right? And maybe it'll evolve into a more jolly hate like me. Now, you also want to have a list of great. This is how you make your list of great. I want you to imagine a version of yourself who's accomplished all your goals and aspirations. Everything that you're trying to accomplish in life, imagine a version of yourself who already has that. And I want you to write down all the attributes that version of you has. What time does that person wake up? Does that person play video game? Maybe does, maybe doesn't. I'm not telling you what your version is. You got to decide, right? Does that person skip his workouts? Does he cheat on his diet? Does he waste time? Does he maximize each hour of every day? Make it a long, extensive list and look at that list every day too. And here's what happens. Every time you start to act in accordance to what's on your list of great, you're going to feel good about yourself because you'll know that, oh, I'm on the right path. This is exactly what I need to be doing to become the man that I need to be to accomplish my goals. And over time, after repeated exposure to the list of hate and list of great, what's going to happen is your associations with pain and pleasure will start to change, right? Where you used to look at this stuff and it would be painful, you start to associate pleasure with those things, right? And the things you used to associate pleasure with, you associate pain with. Now, every time you think about grabbing your motherfucking dick to beat off, you'll be like, fuck, if I do this shit instead of working, the haters win. Every time you think about firing up your X station to play World of Minecraft, you'll be like, oh shit, if I do this instead of working, the haters win. Every time you start thinking about you want to smoke some of that OG Kush or snort some goddamn cocaine, you'll be like, damn, if I do this, I'm letting the haters win. I'm proving the haters right. And you'll start associating pain with this. And then every time you hit your workout, you'll start associating pleasure. Damn, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is exactly what I'm supposed to do. You start feeling good about yourself because you know you're moving in the right direction. Every time you study and you know you're moving in the right direction. When you're working on your business, you know you're moving in the right direction. When you're eating healthy, you'll know you're moving in the right direction. And you'll start to like yourself more. You'll feel good. You'll get a spike of dopamine from doing this because the list of hate will have changed your association with pain and pleasure. It's going to take some time, right? But here's the thing. Once you switch the associations, you're not using discipline anymore. This is the next level when you don't need discipline to actually go after your goals because you associate pleasure with going after your goals. So you want to do them, right? That's the difference between discipline and motivation. Motivation means you want to do it, you're excited, right? You don't need discipline to do anything you're motivated to do. You need discipline to do things you don't feel like doing. But once you change your association with pain and pleasure, you'll feel like doing it. I wake up excited to work and I'm pissed to go to sleep. I wish there was more time because I've changed my association with pain and pleasure using the list of hate and the list of great. It may look like I'm crazy disciplined, but I'm not using as much discipline as you, right? Because we have different associations with pain and pleasure. This will change your brain after repeated exposure. And once you change your brain, you change the game. It's going to take a different amount of time for different people. So you're going to have to keep exposing yourself to the list of hate, the list of great until you build the habits of thinking this way. And then once you build the habit of thinking this way, Now you've changed your brain. You won't need as much discipline. Discipline is a finite resource. So imagine if you didn't have to use it. That's what the list of hate and list of great will do for you. And just remember, everything you do is habit forming, right? So it may take you longer to build this habit because you've been building bitch habits your whole life. For example, if you're supposed to go to the gym and you don't go to the gym, you built the habit of not going to the gym when you're supposed to, right? What makes it worse is your goofy ass will do something fun instead. You'll play video games and beat off instead. What happens is you've rewarded yourself for not doing what you're supposed to do, right? How do we train animals? When a dog does something you want it to do more of, you give it a treat. If it fucking runs around, does a flip, you give it a treat. I don't know. I've never had a dog, right? Or if the dog, pisses on your girlfriend, like you punish it. I never had a dog. I don't know. I guess you guys pistol whip them. I don't know. But you punish them. You gave yourself a treat for not going to the gym. So what do you think you did to you? You an animal too, man. You trained yourself to be a bitch. It may take you longer to build these good habits, so you don't need discipline if you've been training yourself to be a bitch for fucking decades. But it's worth it. And the list of hate and list of great, I'm telling you, it's the strongest thing. Because you change your emotions, you'll want to do the things after a while. Because I have so much exposure to the list of hate and list of great, it takes discipline for me to do shit like go on vacation. Like I'll do it. I took my son to Disney World. We had the passes where we been jumping in front of not the fast pass, that's broke nigga shit. We had the fucking VIP shit. Where we were jumping in front of the motherfuckers with the fast pass. We had a personal Disney escort walking us around the Magic Kingdom. That was cool, but I did that for the boy. It was an obligatory thing. I mean, I wanted to kick it with him. I enjoyed it, right? I took my girl on a crazy resort for her birthday and shit, right? I do that shit because it's more obligatory, where you motherfuckers can't wait to do that shit. It's like me, because my list of hate and list of great is so strong. I've imprinted it on my mind so much. It took discipline to do that shit. It don't take discipline for me to work all day anymore. And you can have that too, because I was just like you. Remember how I started this shit off, man? I was just as fucking a piece of shit like you. Difference is, I ain't have internet porn, man. We had to go to the porn store. You don't know about the porn store. And we was playing Nintendo 64. I was doing all the fuck shit you was doing. But when my dad killed himself, right, then I was in charge of the family. My list of hate, list of great was different. It was pivotal, right? Because I had a better why. You were a victim of your own success, or you're a victim of your parents' success. They made things comfortable enough for you, but you don't love your circumstances, but you don't hate them enough to do anything about it. Everything's fine. And that's one of the reasons why it's difficult for you to be disciplined. But the list of hate, list of great is going to change this for you. It's important you build these habits before you become successful. Because if you fuck around and become successful before you build discipline, success will eat you alive. Imagine if you were me, multi-millionaire, single-digit body fat, 6'2", Miami penthouse, millions of followers on social media. Would you be going to sleep at 10 p.m. so you could wake up at 5:30 every night, even on the weekends? Would you have been sober for the last 10 years? No, nigga. You would be at the fucking club, throwing dollar bills at whores, fucking your whole shit up. The problem with that is, if you get successful and you don't have discipline, you can fuck your life up more, because now you got leverage, you got money, you got access to different opportunities and ways to fuck your life up. It's more dangerous to be successful without discipline. Right now, you poor. How much can you really fuck shit up? If they catch Brandon Carter at the whorehouse, it's fucking news. Greg Doucette gonna make another video about me. People gonna know about it. It's news if it happens to me. But if it happens to you, man, ain't nobody gonna know. It ain't gonna ruin your life. Your kids ain't gonna get teased at school because their daddy was out there fucking whores. So you gotta be more disciplined the more successful you become. Also, these women, they look at you like a target. Look at Shannon Sharp. Look at Brian Johnson when he was sued. Look at that baseball player. These women look at you as a target. And if you ain't got discipline to abstain from all these hoes, you put yourself in precarious situations where you can fuck your life up even more. Once you've got the discipline, what the fuck should you do with it? I have another video that I want you to watch right now on the habits that will make you successful. Rich, healthy, and happy. These are habits that I use to become a multi-millionaire who's also in great shape, fucking a bad bitch. Right? So go watch this video right now.